head in the crook of her arm. When she finally dared lift her head, the rust-haired lady had moved to an empty seat 2 rows up, where she was loudly extolling the virtues of Metamucil to a stout black woman with a powder blue raincoat folded neatly across her lap. The girl turned her face to the window. The road was an endless river banked by fields of corn, a road that seemed to be carrying her backward. She remembered when she was little. She would play this game where she'd scan the mothers on the sidewalk after school and choose the one who looked the nicest. She'd imagine the woman taking her by the hand, even scolding her in a motherly way about some stupid little thing like leaving her shoelaces untied or forgetting her lunchbox. Over the years, she'd gradually outgrown the game. It made her too sad. But now she wondered what it would be like to have someone waiting at the other end. A woman with a warm smile and stories to tell of what had happened while she was away. But there was no one to meet her in Oklahoma City or Amarillo or Albuquerque. She'd been on the road nearly 3 days by the time she worked up the nerve to buy a newspaper. Though the murder of a small-time drug dealer in Brooklyn wasn't likely to make national news, she was vastly relieved even so when she found no mention of Lyle. Relief tempered by a perverse disappointment. Her name in print would have made people pay attention, at least. Kids she'd gone to school with, to whom she'd never been anything other than the new girl. Caseworkers who'd shunted her bulging file with its ladder of crossed-out addresses from one gray metal cabinet to the next. Even if it meant going to jail, wasn't that better than being invisible? By the time she reached Bakersfield, the endless stretches of desert and scorched brown hills had given way to green orchards and citrus groves. Even the fast food restaurants looked more inviting somehow. Her mouth watered at the thought of a Big Mac. But when she checked in her backpack, only a few crumpled bills remained. She'd have to hold off for now. Who knew how long the money would have to last? At a service station just east of Santa Barbara, she splurged on another newspaper. She was settling back in her seat when a glossy real estate flyer slipped to the floor. The old man beside her stooped to retrieve it. "Prettiest place in the world," he said, peering at it. She glanced over his shoulder at a photo of a tree-shaded ranch house. Behind it was a fenced pasture in which horses grazed. Snow-capped mountains rose in the distance. "It looks too perfect to be real," she said. He looked up as if he'd just noticed her sitting there. "Carson Springs? It's just beyond those hills." He raised a crooked finger to the window, an ancient man, his bald head flaking in spots, his body drooping like an old coat from its hanger. In the weathered ruin of his face, his blue eyes burned brightly. "I take it you've never seen the movie." "What movie?" "Stranger in Paradise. It was shot there." He smiled. "Course that was way before your time." "I think I saw it on TV." He brightened, and she saw that he'd once been handsome. "Well, I directed it." He extended a hand that felt like an old baseball glove that had been left out in the rain. "Hank Montgomery's the name." "That's where I'm going, to Carson Springs." The words were out before she realized it. The old man fixed his keen gaze on her. "That's so." "My aunt lives there." This is crazy, she thought. As far as she knew, she didn't have an aunt, and until just this minute she'd never even heard of Carson Springs. "Ever been out this way before?" "No." That wasn't a lie, at least. "Well, then, you've a real treat in store." The girl didn't know what had come over her, but the idea had taken hold somehow. Besides, it wasn't like she had anywhere else to go. When they reached Santa Barbara, she used the last of her money to buy a ticket on the local bus to Carson Springs. 2 hours later, she was once more en route, traveling north along a steep, winding highway. She'd just begun to doze off when they crested the ridge and a wondrous sight panned into view. A valley ringed with mountains on all sides, like a huge green bowl into which hills and pastures tumbled. Orange groves crisscrossed the floor in neatly stitched rows, and to the east, a Crayola lake reflected the cloudless sky. The town itself, a cluster of red-roofed buildings in candy-heart shades, might have been a page from a storybook. Minutes later, they were cruising down the main street. Huge old trees shaded sidewalks lined with Spanish-style shops trimmed in colorful tiles. Miniature trees in clay pots dotted the